Most people spend their entire lives trapped in the opinions of others, chained to judgments that were never meant for them. They adjust who they are to fit someone else's vision, someone who probably never took a single step toward becoming more. When you live like that, you're not alive. You're surviving on borrowed confidence, relying on people who wouldn't last a day in your shoes. You've got to understand, not everyone is supposed to get what you're doing. They haven't seen the late nights, the early mornings, the blood, the setbacks, the mental warfare. So how can they possibly judge something they don't understand? But you give them power when you start to care. You give them permission to steer your life. And that's the quickest way to get stuck in a version of yourself that's beneath your potential. Let them talk, let them mock, let them guess what you're up to. That noise, that's the sound of people too scared to chase their own dreams. It's projection, not perception. They can't see your vision because they never built one for themselves. Most of them won't even try, because trying means risking, and risking means being uncomfortable. So they stay safe and throw stones from the cheap seats. You know what's funny? The louder they speak, the more insecure they are. They're threatened by your progress, your discipline, your obsession. They'll call you crazy, delusional, too intense. Good, let them. If you're hearing criticism, that means you're doing something worth noticing. If nobody's talking, you're probably playing it too damn safe. You've got to kill the urge to explain yourself to people who don't even matter. You're not here to make sense to everybody. You're not built for approval. You're built for impact. And impact doesn't happen when you're busy pleasing everyone around you. The truth is, most people couldn't handle the weight you're carrying. They couldn't stomach your schedule, your sacrifice, your standards. And yet you're supposed to care what they think. That's backwards. You need to get so locked in on your mission that their opinions sound like static, background noise. You don't tune into that when you're chasing something real. You're too busy climbing a mountain to notice who's yelling from the bottom. Validation is a drug, and most people are addicted. They need likes, compliments, reassurance, hand-holding. They live for external noise because their internal voice is quiet. But if you want to grow, you've got to flip the script. You've got to develop a voice inside that's louder than the noise outside. That voice tells you to keep going when nobody's watching. That voice reminds you why you started. Because when the world doubts you, that internal voice becomes everything. But if you let others shape how you see yourself, you'll never make it. You'll get halfway there and fold the second someone questions your path. And that's where most people stop. Not because they weren't capable, but because they cared too much. The minute you stop caring, you become dangerous. Not reckless. Dangerous. Focused. Relentless. You stop wasting energy explaining your dreams. You stop editing your life to make others comfortable. You stop hesitating. You don't look left or right, you just go. And people don't know what to do with that kind of energy, because now you're untouchable. Now you're in control. You're no longer dancing to someone else's rhythm. You're setting the beat. And when you move like that, you force the world to respond. You become the standard, not the exception. And the ones who hated, they start watching. Quiet now, because they realize you weren't seeking approval, you were chasing purpose. You have to remember, people only throw rocks at things that shine. uncomfortable. That's the price of doing work that matters. You'll confuse the average, you'll irritate the stagnant, and you'll threaten the lazy. But you keep moving. You don't lower your frequency to match theirs. You turn up the volume. You go louder. Because this path, your path isn't meant to be liked. It's meant to be walked, with or without applause. The world wants you small, predictable, quiet. It wants you doubting yourself, second guessing every move, seeking permission. That way, you never disrupt the norm. You never challenge the status quo. You just blend in, play nice, and follow the rules. But you weren't built for that. You feel it every time you try to conform, and it eats you alive. That voice inside you knows. It knows you're meant for more. It knows playing small is killing your soul. And yet, every time you start climbing, someone tries to pull you back. Question is, do you let them? Or do you finally stop caring and break free? You've got to become immune to judgment. Not cold-hearted, but untouchable. That means you don't personalize what was never personal. Their opinions, that's their reflection, not yours. Their doubts, their limitations, their sarcasm, their fear of effort. You've got to look past the words and see the truth. It's not about you, it's about them. And once you understand that, you stop shrinking. You stop explaining, you stop apologizing for being different, for working harder, for wanting more. You embrace it, you sharpen it, and then you let it drive you straight through the noise. Every time you take a step forward, there will be someone questioning your direction. Every time you level up, someone will accuse you of changing. That's supposed to happen. Growth offends the stagnant. Discipline annoys the undisciplined. Clarity scares the confused. But the mistake is thinking you have to fix it, to explain it, to justify your progress. You don't. Your only job is to keep going, to keep building, to keep rising. Because when it's all said and done, the ones who talk won't be the ones remembered. The ones who dared to walk through the fire without looking back, that's who people remember. That's who inspires. So let them judge. Let them misunderstand. Let them laugh, criticize, dismiss. Let them do whatever they need to do to feel safe in their small world. But you stay in the fight. You keep your head down and your standards high. You live in the discomfort. You sweat in silence. You work in the shadows. And when the time comes, you show them, not with words, but with results. Not with validation, but with victory. Because the ones who don't care about the noise, they're the ones who make the noise. We'll continue. Most of the silence. They're the ones who rise. Pain is the entry fee to anything worth having. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants the discomfort that comes with earning them. That's why most people never change, because the process hurts. It demands more than just time. It takes pieces of you. It strips away your excuses, your comfort, your ego. Every time you feel it burn, you are being shown the price of greatness. And most will run the moment it gets hard. They'll say it's not worth it, that it's too much, that maybe wasn't meant for them. But that's not the truth. The truth is they weren't willing to endure what was necessary. The pain isn't the enemy. It's the compass. It tells you you're headed in the right direction. Because nothing changes in comfort. Nothing grows in ease. The body doesn't strengthen unless it's broken down. The mind doesn't evolve unless it's stretched to the limit. You only unlock the next version of yourself by going through something. And that something hurts. But most people misinterpret that. They think pain means stop. No pain means keep going. It's the signal that the old version of you is dying so the new one can be born. Too many people try to avoid pain like it's a plague. They hide from it, numb it, distract themselves from it. But the ones who truly transform don't run from pain. They invite it. They understand that suffering is the cost of evolution. Not just physical pain, but emotional, mental, spiritual. The kind of pain that tears you down at 3 a.m. and demands answers. The kind that makes you question who you are. And if you can sit with it, breathe through it, and keep moving anyway, that's where real strength is forged. Not in the absence of pain, but through it. You don't earn confidence by talking about your goals. You earn it by doing the work when it's hard, when it's raining, when you're tired, when your mind is screaming to quit. That's when belief is built. One painful rep at a time. One more round. One more mile. That's when the weak voice in your head starts to shut up because it sees you won't quit. You're not negotiating with pain, you're using it. And every time you do that, you become more, not just stronger, more resilient, more disciplined, more unstoppable. People want to level up without being broken down. They want the trophy without the war. But it doesn't work like that. You don't become elite by avoiding the grind. You become elite by embracing it, by learning to suffer on purpose, to seek out the edge and live there. That's the difference between average and exceptional. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's tolerance for pain. It's who's willing to stay in the storm longer. Who's willing to bleed for it. Who's willing to do the reps no one sees and still come back for more. There's a threshold where most people tap out. The point where it hurts just enough to feel impossible. That's where the separation begins. Because those who stop there never get to see what's on the other side, but the ones who push past that wall, they unlock something different, something raw, something primal. They become capable of things they never imagined. Because they didn't quit when it burned, they leaned into it. They understood that pressure creates diamonds, but only after the crushing. And they weren't afraid to be crushed for the sake of becoming more. The mind lies to protect you. It tells you to slow down, to back off, to rest. But that voice isn't the truth. It's the limit. And the only way to beat it is to push through it. To teach your mind that discomfort is not death. That pain doesn't mean stop. It means keep climbing. Because everything you want is just past that breaking point. And most people never get there because they tap out too soon. They've never stayed in the fight long enough to see who they could be. They only know who they are when it's easy. But real identity is found in the trenches. The beauty of pain is that it reveals the truth. It strips away the masks. When you're exhausted, when you're broken, when you've got nothing left, what's left is who you are. That's your foundation. That's what you build on. Not height, not emotion, reality. Pain gives you that gift. It's raw. It's real. And if you're willing to listen to it, you'll hear it whisper something powerful. You're not done yet. You've got more. You've always had more. But you'll never find it if you avoid the fire. You have to step in it, sit with it, let it mold you. There's no shortcut around pain, no hack, no easy way. There's only through. And the ones who walk through it don't come out the same. They come out harder, sharper, more focused, because they've endured, they've suffered, they've sacrificed. And in that process, they've earned something no one can give them. Ownership. Ownership of who they are. Ownership of their effort, ownership of their results. That's something pain gives you if you're willing to stick around long enough. But you don't get it from talking about the grind. You get it by living in it. Pain isn't just part of the journey, it is the journey. It's the testing ground for who you're becoming. And the more you face it, the less power it has over you. Eventually, you stop fearing it. You start welcoming it. Because you know it's the only way to level up. It becomes your edge, your advantage. While others tap out, you lean in. You don't build real strength from winning. Winning might feel good, but it doesn't teach you anything. It doesn't expose your weaknesses. It doesn't push you to the edge where you're forced to adapt or break. Failure does that. Losing is where the lessons live. It's where you see what you're made of when everything falls apart. That's the real test, not when things go right, but when nothing goes according to plan. That's when you find out who you are. Not who you want to be, but who you actually are when the pressure hits. And that's the moment most people avoid. They avoid it because losing hurts. It stings. It bruises the ego and brings every insecurity to the surface. But that pain is valuable. That pain is the mirror, and it reflects everything you need to fix, everything you've been hiding from, everything you pretend doesn't exist when you're comfortable. When you lose, there's no hiding. You see it all. The missed reps, the weak mindset, the lazy habits. You can't fake it anymore. It's all right there in front of you, and you've got two options: deny it or deal with it. Most people deny it, they blame, complain, retreat. The ones who grow, they deal with it head on. Growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens after you've been humbled, after you've fallen short, after the crowd goes quiet and the excuses run out. That's when you make the decision. You either get bitter or you get better. Don't feel sorry for themselves. They don't cry about how unfair it is. They get up, analyze what went wrong, and go back to work. That's what losing is for. It's feedback. Pure, raw, unfiltered truth. It's not personal, it's not emotional, it's directional. And if you're smart, you'll use it. You can't let a loss define you, but you can let it refine you. Every setback is an opportunity in disguise. Most people just don't look deep enough. They're too caught up in what they lost to see what they can gain. But there's always something to gain. Perspective, grit, humility, strategy. Losing forces you to evolve. It shows you where to tighten up, where to shift gears, where to double down. But you only get that insight if you face it. Not if you run. Not if you numb yourself with distractions or pretend it didn't matter. If you truly face it, it becomes fuel. Everyone wants to be great, but nobody wants to lose along the way. They want the glory without the grind, the recognition without the rejection. But that's not how it works. You get great by getting beat down and still showing up. Again and again. You lose, you learn, you level up. That's the cycle. And if you skip one, you miss it all. That's what separates the elite from everyone else. It's not that they don't fail, it's that they refuse to stay down. They don't avoid losing, they outgrow it. They use every loss to sharpen their edge. There's a different kind of confidence that comes from losing and not quitting. A quiet power, because you've already been through the worst and kept going. You've already failed and came back stronger. That's a kind of self-belief you can't fake. It's built in the dark, not the spotlight. And people can feel it. They can see it in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you show up. There's no panic in your eyes, no fear in your voice. Because you know you survived the fire. You didn't break. You bent, adjusted, and came back sharper. Rejection is one of the greatest gifts you can receive. It tells you where you're not ready yet. It exposes the cracks in your foundation. And that's a blessing, because you can't build on shaky ground. If everything came easy, you never know where to fortify. You never find your blind spots. You'd never sharpen your instincts. Losing gives you that chance. It strips away the illusion of perfection and demands real progress. So when you get rejected by a result, a person, a performance, fake it. It just saves you from building your future on something weak. You only fail when you stop trying. As long as you're still in the game, still learning, still adjusting, it's not failure, it's preparation. Preparation for your next level, your next test, your next breakthrough. But you won't get there by pretending failure doesn't exist. You get there by embracing it, studying it, owning every piece of it. Because the more honest you are about where you went wrong, the faster you can correct it, and the faster you correct it, the faster you grow. That's how you build momentum. That's how you turn losses into leverage. The people who are most afraid of failure are the ones who never step into the arena. They watch from the sidelines, safe, secure, untouched. But untouched also means untested, and untested means unproven. If you never lose, it's because you're not doing anything that challenges you. You're not stretching. You're playing small. And maybe that's comfortable, but it's also hollow. Because deep down, you know you've never gone to war with yourself. You've never put it all on the line. And that's a regret that hits harder than any loss ever could. Failure humbles you. It silences the noise and resets your focus. It reminds you that the journey is long and nothing is promised. And in that humility, you find clarity. You remember why you started. You remember what matters. You let go of the distractions, the ego, the approval. You strip everything back to the core. And from there, you rebuild stronger, smarter, hungrier. Not because someone told you to, but because you chose to. Because losing didn't destroy you, it woke you up. And that's what it's meant to do if you let it. Discipline is the line that separates the dreamers from the doer. Everyone has goals, but very few are willing to structure their life around them. Discipline isn't about feeling like it. It's about doing it regardless. It's setting the alarm before the sun rises and getting up when it rings. No snooze, no negotiation. It's showing up to train. Your body aches and your mind wants comfort. Discipline is doing the hard things even when no one's watching. Because that's what it takes. You won't always be motivated, but that's not the point. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning. There's nothing glamorous about discipline. It's not flashy or loud. It doesn't care if you're tired, busy, or uninspired. It shows up like clockwork, demanding effort, not excuse. Most people crave results but resist routine. They want progress but hate repetition. But greatness is buried inside the boring. It's found in the reps no one sees, the meals you prep, the plans you stick to. Every time you follow through on your word, you build trust in yourself. That's power. That's internal strength. That's how the gap between who you are and who you want to be starts to close. Discipline isn't about extremes. It's about consistency. Anyone can go hard for a day. Anyone can talk big when they're fired up. But discipline is doing the work every damn day. It's lacing up your shoes, shutting off distractions, and getting to work. Not for praise, not for recognition, but because the mission demands it. And when you live like that, you start to separate. While others fluctuate with their emotions, you stay steady. You don't chase feelings, you chase standards. You live by principles. And those principles become the framework that holds everything together when life gets chaotic. Most people wait for inspiration to act, but you don't have that luxury when you're chasing excellence. You move whether you feel like it or not. The difference between average and elite lies in what you do on the days you don't want to. That's when discipline takes over. You don't ask yourself how you feel, you ask yourself what needs to be done. That's how you build momentum. That's how you train your mind to obey your mission, not your mood. And that's where transformation begins, not in comfort, but in the disciplined decision to keep going. Structure sets you free. People think discipline is restrictive, but it's actually the gateway to freedom. When your day is built around purpose, you stop wasting time, you stop drifting, you know where your time is going and why. That kind of clarity kills distraction. It crushes procrastination. Discipline makes you ruthless with your schedule because you're not willing to waste potential. Every hour becomes an opportunity. Every decision becomes a vote for your future. And while others are guessing their way through the day, you're moving with precision, locked in, focused, relentless. There's a difference between being interested and being committed. Interested people do it when it's easy. Committed people do it regardless. That's the heart of discipline. It's not conditional. It doesn't depend on mood, weather, or outside circumstances. It's about showing up and executing no matter what. That's how you stack wins. That's how you turn a grind into a lifestyle. Because once discipline becomes your default, progress becomes inevitable. You don't have to force it, you live it. And that shift is what separates those who talk from those who deliver. Discipline forces you to confront your weaknesses. It doesn't allow you to hide behind talent, motivation, or hype. It exposes what you need to work on, then dares you to fix it. That's why it's uncomfortable. It's why it's rare. Most people want the outcome but not the accountability. But discipline holds a mirror to your habits, your patterns, your choices. It asks, are you really about this or are you pretending? And if you're honest, you'll use that mirror, you'll adjust, you'll build systems around your goals, not just wishes. And that's when growth becomes a part of who you are. You become unstoppable when your habits are stronger than your emotions. That's the power of discipline. It turns intention into action and action into identity. Eventually, it's no longer something you do, it's who you are. The person who shows up, the one who follows through, the one who gets it done, regardless. And when you become that person, doors start opening. Not because of luck, but because of consistency. Because you've proven day after day that you can be counted on. And in a world full of distractions and excuses, that makes you rare. Discipline doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. What once felt like sacrifice becomes normal. What used to drain you now fuels you. You stop questioning the process because you've lived the results. And the more you live it, the more you crave it. That's the shift. You stop chasing ease and start chasing execution. You stop needing hype, start relying on habits. Discipline becomes your edge. It becomes your foundation. And when everything else fades, motivation, noise, attention, it's the discipline that keeps you moving, that keeps you building, that keeps you winning. If you want to build something that lasts, discipline has to lead the way. You won't always feel like showing up. You won't always see results right away. But that's not the point. The point is doing it anyway. Brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day. That's how anything great is built. Not overnight, not by chance, but buy. No one is coming to save you. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. They want a shortcut, a savior, a handout, but none of that is real. What's real is the work. What's real is the discipline, the grind, the pain, and the repetition when no one is clapping. That's what shapes people into warriors. Not likes, not compliments, not good vibes, but the willingness to wake up every day and do what's required, even when everything in you wants to quit, especially then. Because that's where greatness begins, in the trenches, in the silence, in the struggle. You can't be obsessed with being understood if you're trying to do something uncommon. You can't care what people think when you're chasing a purpose bigger than their opinions. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them laugh. While they talk, you train. While they scroll, you work. And while they stay comfortable, you step into the pain. You keep showing up. You keep building, brick by brick. Because one day, they'll look up and see what you've become, and it won't be up for debate. It'll be undeniable. But by then, their opinions won't matter anyway. You'll already be gone, already leveled up. You don't need permission to go all in. You don't need approval to become relentless. All you need is to decide. That's it. Decide that your goals are non-negotiable. That you'd rather be hated for your discipline than loved for your weakness. That you're willing to sacrifice who you are now for who you can become. And when you make that decision, everything changes. Not overnight, but over time. Slowly, painfully, purposefully, through failure, through rejection, through fatigue. And every step is worth it. Every scar, every setback, every sacrifice is all part of the process. No one can give you what you refuse to earn. Respect isn't handed out. Confidence isn't gifted. Success isn't inherited. You can't come back. That's what separates the uncommon from the average. Not talent, not luck. Relentless consistency fueled by discipline. So don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for support. Start now. Start broken. Start scared. Start when it's hard. Because you'll never grow if you only move when it's easy. You have to force yourself through the discomfort. You have to become the person who doesn't need motivation to move, who doesn't need applause to push, who doesn't need validation to keep going. That's the person who wins. Not because they're better, because they're consistent, because they didn't care what people thought, because they chose purpose over popularity, growth over comfort, and discipline over everything.